I lost track of time all the time on my chemistry homework and also in the theater. And once again, I mean, like, they're two completely separate things. But I remember my junior year in the spring, like about a year ago, I was prepping for 4 AP exams and we had tech week for a show. And I was literally running back and forth between the chem lab and the theater.
If you wouldn't mind, just kind of give a quick intro of who you are and where you're going.
So my name is Vivian Shea, and I'm a high school senior living in Santa Barbara, California. And I grew up in Los Angeles, where I started taking dance classes, and that was a huge part of me as a kid. You know, I loved to dance. I always loved school and learning new things. And, you know, as I grew older and I got more interested in math and science, that became just something that I was passionate about because I just found it really interesting. And I was, you know, still dancing and all of that. And those two interests kind of grew alongside each other. Like at the same time that I was becoming really interested in science and chemistry, I was also really working on myself as a dancer and performer. I think my curiosity has really guided me throughout high school, just staying open to learning new things and seeing what classes can teach me that I don't necessarily expect. Because I don't think necessarily I expected to like math and science. I found a journal of mine from when I was a kid and I said I wanted to be a lawyer, an artist, or a writer. And I just thought that was interesting that was like, when I was a kid, what I saw myself doing. And I meant like visual artists. And that is not quite my forte, but the performing arts, I can do that. And so I think throughout high school, it's just been about, you know, curating myself as a performer and working on that and finding that is a real true passion of mine. And also having school as something that I can really dive deep into. And they're such different things. And I like that because it fulfills a different part of me. And that is what I would say is, you know, have been the major aspects of my high school career.
And I think as anyone could see, you're very passionate about that. There's definitely no doubt in my mind after seeing some of your audition videos that you did, and they're just absolutely amazing. Your character definitely flows through, not just in your personality, but through the words that you put down on paper, because your essay was absolutely stunning. It was amazing.
Well, so this whole experience has been pretty crazy because, as I mentioned, I'm a performer and I also love the intellectual side of things. And so I was from the start kind of on a very broad path in the sense that I was working really hard on these applications for top-tier research universities. And I was also working on a musical theater application portfolio. So that entailed a whole process of pre-screening where I had to film a bunch of videos of songs, monologues, dances, and submit those, as well as my application. So there were these like 3 months where I was working really hard on my essays and working really hard on my audition material. And it was a lot of work. I always wanted a big research university with a strong musical theater program. That was kind of my ideal where I would see myself. And to kind of accomplish that, I think I chose in the schools that I was applying to a very broad range. You know, some schools that are really kind of more arts focused just to see where that path might go. Schools that are really more academically focused, and then schools that were kind of a nice medium. And, you know, I had my heart set on the University of Michigan here, but unfortunately I didn't get it and that just didn't work out. But all these schools, sometimes what they're saying can sound a lot similar, you know, and it's hard to tell, like, gosh, well, they all say that they really value curiosity and they all say this and that they're the best at this. And it's a little bit overwhelming because, you know, it's also about an energetic fit. Right. And I think visiting the schools was a major help. I had been able to visit all the schools where I was accepted. Right. And having a sense of what the campus is like and what the people are like there. Ultimately, I think engaging with the people tells you the most about if you can see yourself there. And with Stanford, you know, I had visited 3 times, the third being when I did an audition for them. And it felt really right, and I felt very comfortable there and safe. And it was crazy then when I got the acceptance, like to have that confirmation that they, just from reading my application, could tell the same thing about me.
Yeah. What I think is so unique, and obviously meeting with you and your mom and your dad sometimes too, is just you have such a great family dynamic. Share with me maybe something that was instilled in you as a young Vivian, growing up, that you kind of just really latched onto, that kind of brought you to the point of who you are today.
So my whole life, my mom has always told me, articulate your intention and manifest your reality. Mm-hmm. I think it doesn't always work out the way you anticipated, but trusting that what is happening is what is supposed to be happening. When I got the no from Michigan, that was really hard because I had wanted. But when I got the yes from Stanford, it shows you that there's always, something that you don't expect that can have a positive impact on you. And I think growing up, being encouraged to just trust that was a really big help in this whole process.
I think that's wonderful. Now, how about we turn the tables? Think two years ago when you were a sophomore, and there's so many, young ladies in your scenario that would love to be in your shoes now. What advice might you be able to give to someone like that?
Well, I'd say, my sophomore year was very overwhelming for me because I was at this new school. I was, adjusting socially, and I think having my academics to key into was just helpful as a base ground to have. And I think the thing that helped me to, get to a place where I feel good about my college decision and about my application is just being aware of myself and aware of how I approach thinking and learning. Because I think ultimately, the college essays and all of that, it's their only chance to get a sense of who you are and how your brain works. And it forces you to be aware of that and to realize that and articulate it. And I think, going through high school and just checking in with yourself of who am I in the classroom, and what do I offer? And having an awareness of that was super helpful then when it came time to start writing my applications and try to explain who I am, if I spent that time already thinking about it and, exploring it.
In high school, what did you really kind of turn to the most that you just lost track of time doing?
I lost track of time all the time on my chemistry homework and also in the theater. And once again, they're two completely separate things. But I remember my junior year in the spring, about a year ago, I was prepping for 4 AP exams and we had tech week for a show. And I was literally running back and forth between the chem lab and the theater. And it was, I had class in the theater, and then I went to go study in chem, and then I went back for rehearsal, and then I went home and, finished studying. And it was grueling, but I enjoyed it. I look back on that and I'm like, gosh, that was, fun. I just got to do things that I enjoy. And it always comes with its stress, but if you're doing something that you actually truly love, you just do it, and you want to sit down and do your homework if it's something that you're passionate about.
Beautiful. And I think I really remember in your Common App essay, really the juxtaposition of you having the mind of being a chemistry major, but also having the side of how creative you are, and bringing those two ideas into this one essay, to me, was brilliant. And how you cultivated those ideas just seemed to me now I know who you are through this one piece of paper. Like you said, it's just your way of kind of showing them what's in your brain. And you did a fantastic job with that.
To be a scientist, you have to have a sense of humanity. And to be an artist, you have to understand the way the world works. And, for me, both theater and science, examine that. They examine how does the world work? How do people work? And, you don't expect them to mesh together, but just in the way that I see it, they do. And so I think the key was, how do I just show that that's what I focus on in my life? I think trusting myself and not letting other people weigh in on too much on what I was writing. You know when there's something that's special to you that you want them to know. And it's hard to not be humble. It's hard to talk about yourself and the things that are cool about you without feeling like you're oversharing or trying to brag. But if it's who you are, then there's every reason to write it down.
Well said. And I think that just goes into the whole philosophy of, if you're true to who you are, colleges can definitely see that. Whereas I think a lot of students maybe embellish, maybe fabricate, do things that aren't necessarily telling who they are. And who knows, maybe they end up at a school that isn't even a right fit for them. And what I think is so great is you talking about just knowing that that school was the right fit for you. And it'll just propel you into what you're going to do once you graduate. So I'm hoping that 4 years from now, we're going to have another interview and literally talk about what plans you have for the next 20 years of your life.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Trevor, for all of your help too.
Absolutely.